The night slowly descended upon the earth. Clouds stretched across the sky, as if someone had deliberately trapped the moon behind a veil. Far in the distance, there was no sign of life, just a long, lonely road, stretching endlessly, or perhaps, never ending at all. An old bus stood by the roadside. The door creaked open. A lone passenger stepped out. Without looking back, the bus vanished into the darkness. Ahead, a solitary gas station flickered. The lights were weak, as if even electricity refused to linger here. It was the night shift, a job taken out of necessity, and a choice that could not be undone. Inside, a phone rang. The voice on the line was tired, cold, almost empty. Lock the door. There's a register in the drawer on your left. Read it carefully. I'm ending the call. And remember, do not break a single rule. The call ended. The register was old, its leather cracked, pages yellowed with age. The rules seemed simple, but behind every line, a silent threat lingered. Do not ask anyone where they're going. Never stop a car with its lights off. Place unusually cold money in the separate drawer. After 3 a.m., do not open windows, doors, or curtains. And if you hear a horn after 3, know that it's already too late. The register closed, and the air changed. Silence was no longer empty. It was full, heavy, waiting. The first car arrived. No headlights. No visible driver. A voice echoed. Fill it. The work was done. The money was ice cold, refusing to warm. It went into the old box. A newspaper lay by the bathroom mirror. Accident. Night. Multiple vehicles. No one survived. 3 o'clock was approaching. The lights began to flicker. Then darkness consumed everything, and the road came alive. Engines roared. Laughter. Whispers. The rules, remembered. But curiosity won. A curtain was pulled aside. Outside, no humans remained. Shadows. Hollow. Eyes glowing a radioactive green. A horn sounded. Once. Twice. Then, continuously. The shadows shifted. The door began to shake. The phone rang. The same voice whispered. Fill it, fill it, fill it. Walls breathed. The air thickened. Everything turned black. Morning came. Silence. Everything seemingly untouched. On the floor lay an old key. The owner appeared. Smiled. Very few survived the first night. The truth was revealed. This place was the last stop. Those who arrive never leave. The rules weren't to protect them. They were to protect the one inside. One shadow had been freed. It had accepted death, and thus, the key was left behind. A question lingered. Shall I come back? The answer was in the smile. Some waits never end. Some shifts never end. And the night returns. Every night, at 3. Again and again. The key was still in his hand. He kept staring at it, as if it wasn't just a piece of metal, but a symbol of a promise. A promise he never asked for. Yet it had been given. The sun had risen. But here, light never fully reached. It was as if day and night had agreed to linger halfway, to remain trapped in this place. He sat in silence all day. No cars, no voices. Yet inside, his heart was a storm, raging and relentless. As evening fell, the storm outside began to take shape. The air turned cold. A cold that didn't just touch the skin, but sank deep into the bones. Doors closed. Curtains drawn. The register sat quietly in its place. He whispered to himself, I'll only work. I won't see anything. I won't hear anything. When the darkness became complete, the gas station lights flared briefly, then dimmed again. The first car arrived. The engine groaned as if it were being dragged rather than driven. The work was done. The money exchanged hands. Ice cold. Painful to hold. Then the second car. Then the third. All silent. The fourth car. And this time, a voice came. Not empty, but filled with weight. We were told. This is just a turn. His hands froze. That line, it wasn't in the rules. No words left his mouth. The voice continued. We can't remember where we were going. He held his breath. Finished filling the tank. The money, colder than ever, sent chills through his fingertips. The car drove away. Then the chaos began. Not laughter. Not conversation. Arguments. A cacophony of voices at once. One, I'm running late. Another, I need to go back. Someone screaming, what is this place? He sank into the chair. Closed his eyes. He thought, if he didn't look, perhaps it would stay okay. But the voices drew closer. From beneath the floor. Inside the walls. Above the ceiling. as if the very place had begun to speak. He glanced at the clock. 2:58. His heart slammed. He stopped watching the hands. Then, movement behind the glass. He didn't want to see. But the glass seemed to clear. Outside. Not shadows this time. Faces. Human. But incomplete. Eyes wide. As if their last moment hadn't ended. One leaned forward. And smiled. A smile. Of gratitude. The clock ticked. 3 o'clock. The lights did not go out. Instead, they drew inward. The office began to shrink. Walls closing in. The register opened itself. Pages turning. A new page was not blank. Words appeared. Now you can see us. Because now, we see you. Footsteps sounded behind the door. Not banging. Just standing. Waiting. The phone rang. He answered. No voice. Then, slowly. A whisper. Stay with us. Darkness filled his vision. But he did not faint. This time. He was awake. Morning did not come. Only silence. The door opened by itself. Outside, empty. The road. As long. As endless as ever. Another key lay on the ground. Now there were 2. And he understood. This place never empties. It only prepares for the next. Evening was coming again. And this time, he realized. He was not waiting. He was becoming the wait itself. Far down the road, the sound of a bus approached. The door opened. Someone was getting off. And inside, in the register, a new line was being written. When someone lingers too long here, they never leave. They stay here forever. The sound of the bus drew closer. That same heavy, weary groan of the engine. As if it too knew it shouldn't stop here. Yet stopping was its fate. The door opened. No one stepped off immediately. Moments passed. As if time itself was holding its breath. Then, slow, hesitant footsteps. Steps that knew the danger ahead. Yet the path back no longer existed. He didn't want to see. But refusing had become impossible. His eyes lifted on their own. A lone figure descended. Face unremarkable. Clothes ordinary. Eyes heavy with exhaustion. Exactly. Like the first night, when someone had stepped off the same bus. His chest tightened. The figure took a few steps forward. Glancing around. Then moved toward the gas station. With the same confusion. The same uncertainty. He paused by the door, voice trembling. This is the place. Words were about to leave his mouth. But the register creaked softly. Pages turned on their own. No new rules were written. Only an old line deepened. Do not ask about the destination. He stayed silent. The figure entered. A strange calmness came over his eyes. As if a weight had been lifted. Finally, he had arrived. Am I too late? He asked. He understood. Answering was pointless. The question was not for him. It was for time itself. Night deepened. Cars began to arrive. The same headlightless, silent travelers. But now, he was not alone. The figure who had stepped off the bus stood quietly beside him. Watching. Learning. Occasionally glancing at him. As if wanting to ask something. But lacking the courage. The money, still ice cold. The voices, still empty. Yet now, they were not impossible to bear. In the middle of the night, he realized his steps did not fully touch the ground. As if his weight had lessened. He reached for the register. Touched it. No paper under his fingers. Only cold. He looked into the glass. A reflection was there. But unclear. A familiar face. Yet details were missing. Eyes, unnaturally bright. It was almost 3 o'clock. This time, the ticking of the clock was not terrifying. It was familiar. Like a step he had heard before. A horn sounded. Only once. No doors shook. No shadows lunged. Everything remained in place. Yet the figure from the bus stumbled back in surprise. This sound. He whispered. I've heard it before. Words escaped him involuntarily. If you hear it, it will all come back to you. The figure looked at him. Fear swelling in his eyes. What do you mean? Before he could answer, he realized. The question was not for him either. 3 o'clock struck. The register closed. And in that instant, he understood. Now he was not reading the rules. The rules were reading him. The figure stepped back slowly, his steps faltering. Why am I here? He remained silent. Because he knew. The next answer was no longer his responsibility. The door closed. Curtains shifted. And outside, on the endless road, another bus arrived silently. He sank into the chair. The register lay before him. A blank page opened. The pen moved on its own. And for the first time, the writing was his own. If you are reading this, remember, this place does not call you. You come here yourself. Footsteps echoed outside. Another shift had begun. And now he knew. He was not here to leave. He was here to stay. Night was no longer new. He had become a part of the night itself. The night no longer moved. It had stopped. The gas station lights flickered as usual. But now, things began to shift. The shadows were not growing longer. They were deepening. He closed the register. The pen stopped. But the words had not ended. They echoed within. Outside, the figure from the bus stood. Confusion no longer marked his face. Only questions. What if I don't stop? He asked softly. For the first time, he looked fully at him. And recoiled. The face slightly changed. Dark circles under the eyes. As if countless nights had passed in a single moment. This question, everyone asks it, he said. And the answer is always the same. What answer? He pointed toward the glass. The figure turned and froze. In the reflection, he wasn't behind the glass. His reflection was behind the counter. He forgot to breathe. This. What kind of joke is this? But the glass did not joke. It only showed the truth. A truth not yet complete. The register opened again. Silent. A new page. New handwriting. Transition incomplete. The ground shivered slightly. Something appeared on the distant road. Not a bus this time. Something immense. Shapeless. As if darkness itself were moving. The air grew heavy. Breathing became difficult. What is that? The figure asked, trembling. He lowered his gaze. It is time. It was approaching. With every step, memories fell. The first night on the job. The first lie. The first moment. He failed to help. Even when he could have. All of it floated in the air. The figure held his head. I had forgotten all this. No. He said softly. This place does not let you forget. The darkness stopped in front of the gas station. One by one, the lights went out. Only the counter remained lit. The register revealed the final line. One will stay. One will leave. He understood. This place never empties. He took a deep breath. And for the first time, felt the weight of his own body again. He stepped forward. Toward the figure at the counter. You may go. He said. And you. He tried to smile. But the smile never fully formed. I have already arrived. The darkness moved. The wind rose. Eyes closed. When everything stopped. The road was empty. The bus had gone. A man stood by the roadside. Bag in hand. Confusion in his eyes. And behind the counter. He stood alone. The register was closed. But a new rule had been written in his heart. This place does not just take time. It takes choices. And now, watching each new arrival, he knew who would leave and who would remain here forever. Night began to move again. But now, it no longer moved against him. The next night arrived, without warning. No clock rang. No wind shifted. He only realized. The night had begun again. The gas station stood as before. But now it didn't feel like a place. It was a boundary. A line. Where people left something behind. And became something else. The road was not empty. It was silent. Far away, a faint sound of tires scraping the asphalt. He didn't flinch. Startled, no longer part of his nature. A car stopped. Headlights off. No movement inside. After a long moment, The door opened. A woman stepped out. Barefoot. Clothes simple. Yet her eyes, ancient. She looked around. Then walked straight toward the counter. This place. I've seen it in a dream, she said. Her hands moved automatically to the register. The page turned. No new rules appeared. Only a single question. What have you forgotten to bring? She read it. And her face paled. I left someone behind, she whispered. And they're still waiting for me. He nodded. Everyone comes here having left someone. The difference. Some wish to go back. And some simply want peace. Her gaze fixed on the road. And if I stop? This time. The answer came from the writing itself. A line rose in the register. The waiting will end. Her eyes closed. A tear fell. The ground absorbed it. As if it were not a tear at all, but a debt. At that moment, footsteps sounded from behind. Heavy. Slow. Familiar. She did not turn. She knew who was coming. You said I could go. An old voice spoke. Her heart skipped a beat. I left. The voice drew nearer. But every night, this road brings me back. She turned. Her eyes widened. This is the same. She faced him. The figure from the first bus stood there. Face now clear. No fear in the eyes. Only emptiness. Some leave with their bodies, he whispered. But their choices remain here. The darkness on the road trembled slightly, as if angered. A new line appeared in the register. One choice remains. She looked at him. If I go back, will it all be okay? He was silent for a moment. Then spoke. No. It will continue. She laughed. Short. Broken. Perhaps. That's enough. She stepped back. Onto the road. The darkness split in two. A path appeared. She walked. As her feet touched the road, the darkness closed behind her. Only one sound remained. Breathing. She turned back toward the counter. The figure was no longer there. Only the register remained open. The final line wrote itself. Some return to live life, and some leave life here. He closed the register. Outside, the sound of another car approached. He stood, because he knew the night was far from over. And as long as someone kept coming, leaving something behind, he would remain here. The night was nearing its end, but the morning had yet to arrive. This was the hour when shadows hold the most power. The gas station lights flickered softly, as if even the electricity was afraid. A strange dampness filled the air. Breathing became difficult. He felt it. Something moving beneath the ground. Not lightly. Deep. Heavy. First, tiny cracks appeared on the road. Then the earth in front of the gas station began to breathe. From those cracks, hands emerged. Not human hands. Older. Weaker. As if buried in the soil centuries ago. He stepped back. His heart pounding. The phone inside the office rang on its own. With trembling hands, he lifted the receiver. On the other end, breaths. Many breaths. All at once. Then, a voice. Not belonging to any one person. We are late. He understood. These were the same ones who came every night. But tonight, something was different. Shadows began to crawl along the walls of the office, as if the walls themselves were no longer solid. The window curtains moved on their own, though there was no breeze. Outside the gas station, the engines of cars roared, but no car was visible. Only sounds, and headlight-like glimmers floating on the ground. He remembered what the owner had said. This place is the final stop. But tonight, some travelers did not want to stop. The hands emerging from the ground were now reaching for the door. The door, behind which he stood, began to move. He turned to look behind him. The interior of the office slowly returned to its old state, as it had been the night of the accident. Cracks on the walls, water dripping from the ceiling, tire marks appearing on the floor. He realized this was no longer a gas station. It had become a memory. A memory from which there was only one way out. Acceptance. and those who refuse return here. Night after night. A voice came from outside, right beside his ear. Now, you will wait too. He turned. But no one was there. Only an empty uniform lying on the floor. And on top of it, a new diary. On the first page, a new name was written. He did not have the courage to read it, because he knew, once a name appeared in that diary, this place would not let it go. The night had fully ended. But he knew, for him, time here would never move forward again. He sat behind the counter, his heart still pounding uncontrollably. The ghostly presence of the previous night was still swirling in his mind, like a poison he could not shake. The silence, it was alive, creeping into his ears, gnawing at them, slowly, bit by bit. A faint rustle in the air. Every whisper felt like a warning of some unseen danger. The office lights had dimmed, but the shadows, once mere hazy forms, were growing clearer. They had taken human shapes, but their bodies were translucent, lifeless, cold. Their eyes burned like red coals, signs from another world, watching from every direction. He slumped in the chair, his breaths uneven, ragged. Then, from outside, the sound of vehicles. But these were no ordinary cars. Their movements, stopping, starting, colliding, unnatural. His eyes stayed on the register. With every new entry, a wave of cold ran through him. These were the same people, killed in a horrific accident, and now trapped in an endless loop, returning night after night. Suddenly, the lights went out completely. Darkness swallowed everything. The door slammed from the outside. The ground trembled. He stumbled, falling to the floor, hands and feet shaking, his heart pounding against his chest. And then, in that darkness, a child appeared, a small lamp in hand, casting a pale, flickering light on its own. The shadows froze in that glow. But he knew, the peace was only temporary. He steadied himself, and slowly stepped outside. He approached the first vehicle, silently filled it with fuel, placed the coins in the old tin, and stepped back. The shadows retreated a few steps, but their gaze remained fixed on him. After a while, a cold wind swept into the office. It felt as if some unseen entity was still circling him. Whispers, rustling sounds, unseen touches, all deepening the terror. He picked up an old newspaper from the corner. A picture of a past accident. Right near this place. Overturned cars. A dark, empty road. People who never returned. The truth was clear. Every night, the same scene replayed. And this place was an endless destination for them. Then, a different voice. A call. Like someone calling from far away. He moved to the back room, where everything looked as it had before, except for one new thing on the floor. A small, old chest. Deep scratches marked its surface, dried blood staining it. He opened it. Inside, old notes, the small lamp, and a folded letter. It read, "Those who enter here have only one path to follow. Break the rules, and this place will never let you go." He made a firm vow in his heart. He would not break a single rule. And at that moment, the office lights dimmed once again. As the lights dimmed, time seemed to freeze. The clock's hands moved, but the moments refused to pass. The walls of the office began to breathe. The wood creaked, and from beneath the floor came sounds. Deep, heavy, as if something buried long ago was stirring awake. Outside, the wind had stopped. No trees swayed. No neon lights flickered. It was the silence that comes before a storm. Or perhaps, before death. The register opened on its own. Pages began to turn. And every page carried the same writing. But the words, they were changing. Sometimes the road. Sometimes a scream. Sometimes collision. Sometimes darkness. Then suddenly, handprints appeared on the paper, as if some clawed fingers had struck from within. Outside, a line of vehicles had formed. All identical. All silent. No beings could be seen inside. But their presence sank into his bones. One by one, the doors began to open. No voices spoke. Yet every silence had a question. The lamp's glow flared. And for the first time, everything became clear. The shadows, they were not shadows. They were the very moments of death itself. Each presence, trapped in its final form. Some faces were shattered. Some necks twisted. Half of some bodies missing. And they all moved forward together. The office door slammed shut. The lock clicked. But the key was nowhere to be found. Then, from beneath the floor, a deep voice emerged. Now, it is your time. The ground cracked. The endless road appeared. The road they walked every night, returning day after day. The lamp fell to the floor. The light went out. No rules remained. No protection. One by one, they advanced. Their hands were not cold. They were heavy. As if reality itself had weight. Breathing became difficult. The air vanished. Then, something strange happened. They stopped. Among them, a space opened. The very spot where the register had fallen. The register closed on its own. New words appeared on its cover. Now, it is your turn. The office, the pump, the road. Everything began to warp into a single form. The walls melted. The ceiling receded. And the sky turned completely black. He understood. This place no longer belonged to anyone. It was responsibility. It was punishment. It was continuity. The shadows stepped back. The vehicles vanished one by one. Into the darkness. The faint light of dawn appeared. But it was not the sun. It was merely a new cycle. The office returned to its normal state. The register lay on the desk. The old chest was closed. In the glass of the door, a new reflection appeared. It was his own. But the same red glow burned in his eyes. And outside, far down the endless road, another vehicle approached. Headlights off.